steering in a bit of a different direction, how do we instill the right ethics, the right morals into AI so that it acts in our best interest? So when it reaches singularity, once it reaches a point where its intelligence is beyond humans, how do we get it to work in our favor rather than against?
Let's separate the two things there, because one is when we build a super intelligence, the question is, can we control it and
Right.
or can we direct its behavior? I just don't believe that that's possible. And so, yeah, I think the only thing that you might argue is that it has a will to survive, maybe like any intelligent thing. And it's hard to empathize with a god. This is what we would create. But let's assume that it wants to survive. And we don't know whether that means kind of moving into another dimension or using up all of the resources on the planet to leave or to stay on the planet. We have no idea. But I think that if it sees us as a threat, then it might remove us from the equation. So I think that the thing that we should be doing is mitigating the risk of when it comes, that it doesn't see us as a threat. And that means we need to cooperate as a species, and we need to start behaving ourselves. So so I think that would be my advice, is if we got a communication from aliens saying we're coming, we'll be there in 50 years, we might be preparing for that arrival rather than thinking about how to control them. And so I think that that's what we need to be doing. We need to mitigate any risk that it sees us as a threat. The thing between now and then, which is where we're building narrow intelligence or even more general intelligence to solve problems for us. I align with, again, my good friend Callum Chase, who argues that there's no such thing as AI ethics. So there's a lot of people out there calling themselves AI ethicists, and ethics is a study of right and wrong. Yeah. And the technology that we create really is just trying to achieve our intent, is trying to achieve our objective. The AI is not making any ethical decisions. It's not making a decision about who to kill. It's already been programmed in some respects. It's the intent that needs to get scrutinized from an ethics perspective, and there are already standards and committees that are set up to scrutinize ethical decisions. And the problems that we're facing in AI are safety problems. Can we build systems that are going to behave how we want them to behave? Yeah, they're not ethical questions. But it's still a valid challenge, which is, if we build a system that's biased or could make decisions that cause harm, how do we mitigate that? And I actually believe, and in fact, actually, I've got somebody working with me right now on this project. So we need to come up with, I think, an ethical framework that we agree on as a species, and I don't think that's possible. But what I'm trying to do is use AI, use natural language processing in this case, to scour all of the corpuses of like religious, philosophical, ideological texts, from Buddhism to Taoism to Stoicism to whatever, and to see if it could come up with a bunch of pillars, ethical pillars, that we actually agree on as a species and have agreed on over time. So could we get AI to surface from all of human knowledge some ethical principles that we agree on, and then when we're building technologies in the future, can ask ourselves, will this technology align with these ethical principles? I don't think we can necessarily build the ethical principles inside the technology. We have to ask ourselves, will they align with them? And yeah, so that's actually a project I'm currently working on.
Wow, that's a really interesting perspective. I've never heard of that.